Tom Smith, look where we are. Ansaris Mediterranean Grill and Lounge in Egan. Sweet.
Prost. Hold on.
Prost.
I didn't have a beer can to pop open, so I took a sip of the beer.
Our usual sound effect wasn't available, so a little
click.
sippage, yeah.
We've been waiting for a while to do this. This is exciting. I mean, This is kind of my home turf. I've been here once or twice before. 3 or 4. Anyway.
Hey, Captain Understatement, how come you're not wearing your cape right now? I'm flying through the air, home from Ansaris.
This is 1.5 miles from my house.
Oh, this is perfect.
In other words, a $6 cab ride because it's a $3 minimum.
Exactly. Yeah, there you go. Stumbling, as we like to say, stumbling distance home from the pub.
Yeah, I tell you, this place opened up a few years back, and it was. It initially came from a place called the Mediterranean Cruise that was in Egan.
Yep.
And it was owned by some brothers. And then when Egan bought out that land where they put that really nice outlet mall that I spent all my money at, and my daughter spent all the money at, the Mediterranean Cruise moves to Burnsville. And one of the other brothers decided, hey, I want to do something with my son.
I'm going to do my own thing then. Yeah.
Yep. And he decided, this was an old Baker Square, and he came over and he bought this out. And he's got his 3 sons here. There's Pasha's the dad, and there's David, Tarek, and Ramsey. And the boys run the place, and they do a fantastic job. I mean, if you've ever eaten here, which I know you haven't, the food here is awesome, guys. I'm just going to tell you, it's awesome.
Nice. Can't wait to do it. Well, I lived in the Mediterranean for some years when I was in the service.
Well, I did too on a ship.
They didn't get you much shore leave there, I know.
No.
But now that you brought up the repurposing of the building, because most of those Baker Squares had that rounded glass area like we've got over yonder.
Look behind you.
Yeah, and another one there.
And look
right.
at the display case.
Yep, there it is. That's
where
the
pies.
That's where the pie would go. Good job on the repurposing.
Instead, you can buy hookahs.
Right here at Ansaris, yeah. No, they've really got a nice deli case over there, man. You can take some stuff home with you, and really beautiful bar here, and it's cozy. I like it.
It's a fun little bar. And what's really cool is when you talk to the owners, because all these hotels are right by here, they've had bands in here. Aerosmith's been in here, stuff like that.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Very
because
cool.
These guys stay here, so when they're in town, they come over here and they hang out.
Yeah,
and
why not?
They've been lucky enough to even have some of these bands play in here.
Wouldn't that be cool? See Joe Perry and Steven Tyler step up on this belly dancing stage here and do a little something.
I thought you wanted me to play or something.
Well, you could play maybe a little bit. I don't want you to sing, but I'm hoping that
I'm not going to belly dance.
No,
either.
come on. No, One more of those tall boys there. We could get you going on it. Get you going on the Mortgages and BS show, and that's what you're listening to on the Alive and Social Network, live from Ansaris Mediterranean Grill and Lounge in Egan. Tom Smith and yours truly, BT here. Have another sip there, Tommy, because you're going to have to get that throat lubricated. As we've got a lot of great conversation.
We've never done an hour show. This is scary.
We've never done conversation like we're going to have unfold today on the Mortgages and BS show. I can assure you, my friend, because we got Chris Pennington here from Can Wonderland. Good to have you here, Chris. Hello, my artistic dilettante friend. It says it on his business card.
Dilettante?
Creative hack and dilettante. What else is on there? Creative hack, dilettante, and
impresario.
Impresario.
I can barely say dilettante. Let know what the heck it means. Debutante?
It's very close to debutante.
If there's 180 degrees from debutante, that's dilettante, and that's what he is.
Hey, before I forget, I played $20 and I won $8.
Amazing. Oh yeah, you're
net loss of 12.
I don't know. And Scott,
that's like a mortgage.
And Scott Harold is here. He's the founder of Rock the Cause. Good to have you here, brother.
So glad to be here to see you guys.
Oh man, congratulations on this new release, this Donovan tribute album, and we'll get into that with Scott, and we'll find out more about Can Wonderland here with Chris. Guys, this is the Mortgages and BS show.
I'm at the wrong place. I got to go.
As we've said many times on the program here, it should be called BS and Mortgages, because we like to get into just stuff that's going on, get to know you guys a little bit better on a personal level, and then we'll talk about some of the professional stuff and just stuff that's going on in the world, too.
And here's one of the funniest things about it. I've known BT for a while. BT knows more about mortgages than a lot of the loan officers that I know out there do. So we really could do a good job with the mortgages part, but you put the two of us together, throw in a couple beers, and, BS takes its precedence.
BS has to come first.
Exactly.
Has to come first. We figured we'd loop people in from that sort of intellectual, pseudo-serious side. Well, they're going to give us some great ideas about how I can amortize my loan over the next 25 years and still pull out enough home equity to start my small business. This is a wonderful show. And then we start riffing on how bad the Twins are doing.
Oh, no.
We'll get to that part. But yeah.
Or how you get a wench on the pirate ship on the Mississippi.
That's right, because we've done that before, too. Speaking of, what's the curse of the Yankees here with our Minnesota Twins? I mean,
man.
I don't, let's just dive right into it here because I brought up the Twins and what's going on. Hey, Chris, are you a baseball fan, Twins fan?
I'm more of
I'm a little speechless.
I think he's saddened right now.
I'd really like to be. I'm more of a Saints fan if I'm going to be one.
I'm a Saints fan, too. Yeah,
I'll rock Saints.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'll rock some hockey, too.
Good answer,
Thank you very much.
Yeah, good answer.
I think the Saints probably may have a better winning record than the Twins have had this year already.
They are doing well in the American
well.
Association
Saints,
right now.
You know what? They're a fun team to watch. But I mean, the Twins, nothing's going their way.
Yeah.
Nothing goes their way. I mean, they get the call. I mean, I've watched a few things on TV and live. I mean, they get some bad calls. Their pitching goes great for 6 innings, and then it falls apart. They get the home runs, but then the guy gets the extra home run on the other team. They lost that one game the other night by 1 run, and it was a home run. It's like you feel bad for them.
Yeah. Scott Harold, you a Twins fan? You get into the Twins?
I'm a Cornhusker.
A Cornhusker? Oh yeah, okay. Let's see where this is going.
And I can say the same thing about the Cornhuskers.
I want some Omaha
the
steaks.
Twins. Omaha steaks are the best in the world. But organizationally, they don't have any confidence.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just no organizational confidence there. And, the great dynasties are gone, and they've gone through so much change with the teams and everything. They can't gel, and they have no organizational confidence.
Well, 3 of us at the table here can probably talk about the 60s when the Cornhuskers, Nebraska, football, college.
Bob Devaney.
Oh, my gosh. Were they something?
They were something.
Now when you hear the word Cornhusker, you're thinking of a new job where you're just husking the corn.
That's all you're doing. Yeah.
I did that as a teenager.
Did you really?
Yeah, that was my job. We'd get up every morning in the summer, and my mom and dad would make me go work, and we would get up 4 a.m. late summer. It's hotter than the dickens in Nebraska. You'd get into the back of an old pickup truck with about 12 other boys.
Right in the back,
right. Down a dirt road with a big old jug of water, a package of Doritos, and a bologna sandwich, and the farmer would drop you off at the end of a 2-mile. I mean, you walked 2 miles. One row.
So you were picking then. You were picking it.
We were husking. We would go in and we would have my redneck past. We would have flannel shirts on, and then we would have an old bandana around our face so we didn't get cut up.
Sure.
And we would walk through and pull the tassels off the corn.
You got to detassel that stuff.
That's all gangster.
Yeah, it's all gangster, isn't it? We were all gangster with our colored bandanas.
I didn't do that. Yeah. I actually helped pick corn.
Did you really?
I dated a girl in high school, and they had 50 acres corn, and I would go out and I'd help pick the corn. And I stopped one day, about the 5th day I was doing it, her dad goes, well, you know what? You got to watch out for those rattlesnakes. Boom! Out of there.
Out of there. Yeah.
Take me home now, Daddy.
Then I remembered my grandfather had me doing that when I was 8. Old man.
So the tough kids in the back of the pickup, they'd have like a pack of Luckies or Camels.
They'd have a pack of Luckies or Camels.
Rolled up, and you got a bologna sandwich, jug of water, pack of Luckies, and Doritos.
And somewhere about noon, we would get bored and restless and hot, and somebody would pull a big stalk of corn up out of the ground and knock some kid over the head with it. And then there's a big fight with 12 boys, and the farmer would come out, you boys, get on.
As long as you weren't trying to smoke the corn stalk, we're okay.
Well, that came later. There was that stuff that
heard stories.
That stuff that grew in the ditches, and we thought that would be a good idea when we were 18 and 19.
What part of Nebraska was this then?
Southeast Nebraska, 40 minutes south of Omaha.
Okay.
Yeah, just outside of Sac Air Force Base.
Country. Yeah.
Yeah, we grew up thinking that if Russia hit us during the Cold War, we knew it was going to wipe us off the
map.
map.
That was Offutt Air Force Base.
Offutt Air Force Base.
Yeah, I've flown in there before. I spent 6.5 years in the Air Force.
Did you really?
I'd flown in and out of Offutt quite a bit.
Duck run cover?
Well, that's the thing, too.
Put your head under the desk, son. You'll be fine.
You take a SAC base or a NORAD base.
Yeah.
If you lived anywhere within 100 miles of one of those, you're dead if anything happened. Just Cold War.
Yeah, it was weird.
You're gone.
Yeah, me and my dad were out hunting one day and we were out in a cornfield and we hear this. And we got 2 Harrier jump jets rising up out of a cornfield behind us.
Marine Harriers.
Yeah,
right.
Marine Harriers. just on some sort of weird training thing.
Yeah, that was it. Training
Yeah, it was
stuff.
training, yeah.
Protecting a sack base
Yeah.
and all the kind of ground support that they provide.
Yeah,
to
well,
the
you know, they
troops
were
or
so
whatever.
worried about communism, they actually had aircraft carriers in the ponds of Nebraska.
No.
They assembled aircraft carriers in the middle of Nebraska.
Okay, hold on a minute. I was on an aircraft carrier, and I can tell you, I was not on a pond in Nebraska. I was in the Mediterranean.
And good for you.
He did sub duty and carrier duty when he was in the Navy. Yeah, he had a little dose of both.
Yeah, I can. Never mind. I'm not going to share little stories. Okay, well.
Twist my arm.
I will say one thing
I
about
coughed
it.
a little bit.
I will
I've
say
heard some of those stories.
I will
Really,
say
I
one
don't want
thing.
them on the podcast.
One thing about a sub. The food on a sub is phenomenal.
Oh yeah, well,
Really?
and on the carriers too. Yeah.
Does the
But
can
Oh,
keep
yeah.
it fresh?
Sub especially.
No, you know what the food on a carrier was? Chili con carne and rice. That's all you got. Chili con carne and rice. And they'd have 10 different variations of it.
Okay.
So, no, the food on the carrier
But on the
wasn't good.
sub, the lobsters.
Oh, man, you got
know,
steak,
yeah,
lobster,
right.
you name it.
You got to have something to keep the semen.
They had Omaha steaks.
Omaha Steaks.
Oh, there you go.
On the
Yeah,
subs.
right on.
Yeah.
Chris Pennington, where'd you grow up? Farmland in Omaha? No, sir. Yes, sir.
Madison, Wisconsin.
Nice, that town. Very
Madison.
good.
Liberal.
You found a kindred
Halloween,
spirit in Tom
State,
Smith right
State
here.
Street, Division Street. I've been there.
Yep, lived on State Street for a while. And we were talking about the Onion earlier, and that was like home base for Onion.
Yeah,
so.
it was.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, before
Totally.
we got the podcast rolling, because Scott was telling some untoward stories about Santa Claus and certain Onion articles from a little while ago, or years past. And, yeah, we were sharing a few jokes about that. Again, much like Tom's Navy stories, we're going to keep those off the podcast for right now. But all that said, the Onion is one of the funniest damn
Oh, my
publications
gosh.
ever in out of Madison, Wisconsin. Yeah.
Super
absolutely.
funny. Yeah, and like in Wisconsin when I was growing up, like we had the Green Bay, we had the Badgers, and both of them just were abysmally horrible.
Randy Wright.
We never won anything.
Anything.
Chicago was amazing. Like, and you guys had the Twins in the '80s, and that was pretty cool. We had nothing, so we just learned how to drink and root for teams in losing decades. So we know how to be fans because we know how to just
You've gotta
drink
be
through
a
the
diehard
misery.
fan to do
I
that.
was in town one of the years when the Badgers really stunk and they beat Ohio State. It was so rainy out and muddy. I was there.
You were at
And
that one.
I was
That
at
was a huge
game.
one.
Oh, I was at the KK afterwards. It was nuts.
It was nuts.
Oh yeah.
See, because we know how to drink in misery, and then we know how to drink in success. That's something that I think the Twins. I mean, Minnesota doesn't get that. Yeah, how to like drink like in suffering and be celebratory in suffering.
Well, you think about it. I mean, the Packers have more fans filling the stadium in a losing season than the Vikings do in a winning season.
Right.
Well
Did I,
said.
did I just say I'm a Packer fan too?
Oh yeah,
Ooh.
well, you know
with
my
you.
feelings. You know, I
Well, Chris is
straddled
from
the
Madison.
line.
I
you know.
probably have some help here.
Yeah,
I'll be there in November for the
Yeah.
Lions game.
Yeah, I'm a Packer fan too. Viking. Oh, you didn't know that?
3 out of 4.
didn't
Are we going
know
to get the
that.
Nebraska guy too?
Yeah, I'll stick
And
with the Cornhuskers.
And I'm a Badger fan.
I did love the Vikings though growing up. I mean, Fran Tarkenton.
Oh, yeah.
that was
Oh,
my
yeah.
era, and it was
Purple
always
people
it was great to watch the national televised games of the Vikings. They were just fantastic back in those
Page,
days.
Yeller, all that. I mean, they were.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's exactly right. I mean, I don't have to disagree with you guys on that one because I thought that was phenomenal. The Purple People Eaters.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I was playing. I think I was probably still a kid then, playing like high school football or something like that. And you wanted to
Yeah.
be as good as those guys and emulate yourself like those guys. Oh well.
You had Fran Tarkenton, and the other opposite end of the spectrum, you had the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. And they were quite an education for a 10-year-old kid, let me tell you.
I remember that well.
And what 10-year-old kid did not have the poster in the room?
South of Omaha lad.
That's right.
Then you get the Packer cheerleaders who are wearing tights and a a flannel shirt.
Right. And a snowmobile suit.
They're totally wearing a snowmobile suit, eating a brat.
Getting a brat. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those
She likes
Packer
ski
cheerleaders
doos.
can eat a cheddar dog better than anybody.
Young Scotty's dreaming of cheerleader husking.
Yes,
Is there a
cheerleader
job like
husking,
that?
yes,
Can I
yeah.
please get that gig?
It had a profound effect. That was
Indeed.
Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders and Daisy Duke.
Yes.
In the same era.
Yeah, yes,
Right there.
in the same. And you used to be able to walk into the any store on Main Street, and they'd have these iron-on T-shirt shops.
Yes.
And you'd be able to pick out your Daisy Duke iron-on T-shirt or your Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders T-shirt, and you're always like, I don't know if my mom's going to let me wear that one home. I better.
No, yeah.
I think I'll stick with
I'll stick with the Aerosmith shirt.
It gave you feelings you could not explain.
Now, Chris, are you from Madison proper, or are you like from Stoughton, or
I'm
what?
straight up Madison. I'm not from.
right.
I know they feel like I'm from Madison. I'm like, whereabouts in Madison? They're like, well, Stoughton. You're like, no,
Well, no, because I mean,
That's cheating.
It's cheating.
There's
Be
suburbs
proud.
there, and most people just say Madison. But Madison is Madison's a fun town. It's a very
Yeah.
down to earth town. They have what was the big to-do thing? The party on the street.
Mifflin Street.
Mifflin Street. Yep.
Halloween also.
Yep. And of course 420 parties and stuff like that.
Well, every day.
I mean, Madison's a very progressive town in many ways. A very liberal town, and it's a very artsy town.
It is.
That's where I'm going with artsy now already, right?
Is that where it began for you? Your art career?
I do mess around with art, but like compared to the Twin Cities, this place is exploding with art compared to Madison. We had a couple weird, like Broome Street Theater. There's a couple little pockets of weird art. There's a lot of weirdness that goes around in Madison. Madison's a very weird town, and I embrace it for that. I love that. But the big art, like art on the street, events happening all the time. When I got to the Twin Cities, my jaw dropped. I couldn't believe how much action there was in this town. It's only gone bigger, too.
It's amazing.
Yeah, you've been a contributor to
it's
it, too.
Amazing. You talk about the Twins and their losing streak. Let's talk about like the MIA, the Minneapolis Institute of Arts, and their winning streak.
Winning
Right
streak.
on.
Yeah.
Right on. Very
said,
cool.
yeah.
Well, you got MCAT, MIA, you got AI, where my daughter goes. I mean, you've got. I mean, there's a
amazing.
lot. They say this is one of the biggest hubs for art from the standpoint of things like graphic design and stuff like that, which is an art, obviously, and that a lot of people are coming out of this area. What do you think does that? I mean, I'm just kind of curious. I mean, why is this such a big hub for that?
Because you'd think Madison would have a similar equivalent going on, given the texture and the nature of the town. Capital city, university town.
Lots of young people.
Capital City Brewery. I mean, where are you
Well, I mean, and I'm not going to get political, but the governor now, notwithstanding, as you said a second ago, just a sort of a very liberal mindset over the years.
It's true. I mean, like, I don't know why. I think it's because Madison is such a college town, and the Isthmus is so collegey that there's this built-in transience. That the people come and they have a great time and they go back out east. There's a lot of out east kids that go into Madison. But Minneapolis, right? Minneapolis is sitting in the middle of like a cultural wasteland. You can kind of go like 500. Like there's a big area where basically all the kids, when they're like they want to get out of their small town, where they go is the Twin Cities.
They funnel in here.
They just funnel in deep and they want culture.
I disagree. I was from Sparta. I went to La Crosse.
Boom.
So that was your big town.
Yeah. That's like going from Faribault to Apple Valley, okay?
No, I agree with you on that. I think the Twin Cities, the art scene here, one of the reasons it flourishes is because we took the time to invest in it. We created a working class here. I mean, I'm from southeast Nebraska, and I'm not knocking my alma mater, but we took the time to invest in the workforce, to educate people. We saw that art was something that was great to us. We valued that, and we built this explosive art culture here. And on top of it, I mean, the city's got more millionaires per capita than any other city in the U.S., so all the investment that's gone back into the artwork, the infrastructure, the museums, and people care about the art. They're willing to do daring things with the art and explore
and there have
things
been
here.
those philanthropists that have donated, the Dayton's over the years with the MIA.
And an artist can make a
Walker
living in
Arts
this
Center's
town. You
named
can make
after
a
an
living in this
entrepreneur.
town on art.
And
You can.
Scott, you're on the music side of it, but music is an art to me.
It is,
the way I look at it. Okay, so I mean, we got two guys here. We're talking initially like, okay, we got music and we got this art guy. Realistically, you guys are both the same wavelength. You're both in art, but you're on different spectrums of the range. And we know this is a big music town. But now I'm starting to hear things about the art area of Minneapolis. Was it the northeast or northwest area? There's like a section. I'm going, that's where my daughter needs to live, stuff like that, because she's an artist. But it is amazing how much is coming out of here as I sit and I learn more from people like you guys.
It's amazing, yeah. It's a cool city.
Guys, we're going to take a quick break and let our podcast listeners know about some other great shows that you can hear on the Alive and Social Network. We're going to do that a couple of times during the course of the show. When we get back on the other side of this brief announcement, we'll dive into what's going on in the world of Can Wonderland with Chris Pennington. And then also this remarkable new Donovan tribute record, the 20th album that the folks at Rock the Cause have come out with. Scott Harold, the founder of Rock the Cause here. And so we'll fill you in on that. And we'll play a little sample, too, of one of the great songs, one of the great Donovan tribute songs that are on this record. It's Mortgages and BS with Tom and BT here.
And we have to talk about mortgages.
Oh, of course. Oh, yeah, that's right. That's in the name of the show. Yeah, I'd forgotten. We'll be back in just a sec. It's the Mortgages and BS show, the podcast on the Alive and Social Network with Tom Smith right over yonder. Yo. And it's yours truly, Brian Turner, BT, Scott Harold here, founder of Rock the Cause, and Chris Pennington from Can Wonderland. Scott, Rock the Cause, give us a little insight into the history of this social entrepreneurship, this record label, this production company, this all sorts of things that you do in the creative and musical arts that raise money that benefit great organizations and nonprofits. It's just a social engine of sorts that does good work.
I tell you, it's been a wild ride, man. I was in the corporate world for many years.
What'd you do?
I was a vice president of sales that ran marketing and merchandising teams inside of some of the biggest retailers in the world.
Wow.
So I orchestrated contracts with Unilever and American Express and Safeway and Target, you name it. I had a big old six-figure salary at 34 years of age. And
corner office. I was driving the sweet ride.
I was, man. It was all about the money for a while.
I had the Visa card and the Amex card.
Expense account too. Yeah.
Expense account.
It was great, because in the mid-thousands we were working with Safeway, and they were remodeling all of their stores, and I would roll into San Francisco on a weekend because you had to be there for the store opening.
Oh, sure.
And then I'd go to the store opening, and I'd head over to Napa Valley, and it was a great way of life. But that all ended when I started Rock the Cause. I was in Chicago one afternoon, and my boss came to me and he said, "Hey, you're putting an extra $70,000 into the sales budget this year. What's that about?" And I said, that's what you guys will owe me in a bonus compensation next year under the current plan. And he looks at me and he says, "I'm going to need to phase you out of the company, Scott." And
wow.
Yeah, so from that point on, but at that same time, my daughter, I have a daughter named Jade who came to me and said, "Hey, can you put on a fundraiser for my school? And you've always played in bands. I've played in rock and roll bands, soul bands, etc." And she said, "Can you put a fundraiser for my school?" And I said, "Yeah, sure, I can do that, honey." And I said, "How much money you need?" And she says, "Well, I need $100,000 to keep the school open." And I said, "Well, Daddy band isn't going to make that happen." So we called the Alarmists and we called White Light Riot, a bunch of cool bands, put on a concert for the school. They raised $5,000. It got to the head of the Department of Education of Minnesota. They stepped in to help the school get back on track, made the front page of the Star Tribune and NPR. All sorts of cool stuff happened for those kids. And I was driving to work one day and I said, I'm really sick of this corporate thing. I'm going to call an attorney, I'm going to call my friend Chris Crutchfield, and I'm going to form a 501c3 that gets people involved in their community through music. And that's what we did. And people told me I was crazy. You'll never pull it off the ground. The IRS will never approve that for you. You're nuts. 8.5 years later, we're still here.
Still rocking it.
Wow.
Yeah, we're still rocking it.
Still rocking the cause.
Cool story.
Yeah, I was looking at the website today because it's obviously this is a little new to me, and BT had sent it over, and I was looking at it and I go, wow, all the different venues you guys are doing stuff at, the different bands you have, a lot of local bands, right?
We work with a lot of locals, yeah. We really invest in that community, yeah.
But what you're doing is you're raising the local community, and you're taking the money back and you're reinvesting it back into the local community at the same time.
Absolutely, yeah. We've, just over the past 3 years alone, one of the things that I'm really excited about is our record label, and our record label has sold over 450,000 charitable singles. We've sold 50,000 records. We've enjoyed, literally, and I'm not exaggerating, 26.3 million streams on Spotify and YouTube. And that's all in an era when people don't like to buy music. And that's equated to us giving almost $500,000 back to Minnesota causes and also causes around the country.
Now, what are some of the local causes you guys are giving money back? Give us an example.
Well, for example, we worked with Zach Sobiek on his hit song Clouds. Zach was the young fellow from Stillwater that passed away from osteosarcoma, and his song continues to inspire millions of people around the world. And we've given close to $265,000 just in download revenue from Zach's music to Children's Cancer Research Fund. And through other events and social media and things, etc., the total Zach Sobiek Osteosarcoma Fund is nearing $1 million.
That's amazing.
Wow, that is
Tell us a little bit about Zach. I mean, you got to know Zach, you
Yeah.
got to know his family, and I'm just astounded at the coolness and the generosity that this young man put out into the world, not so much exclusively through his music, but through his spirit as well. I mean, he was a genuine soul.
Zach was so cool, and he was so calm and so relaxed, and he really faced everything with such dignity and class, and his entire family was like that. And I remember the first time I met Zach, I was at the Winthrop Ballroom in Stillwater, and he was on crutches, and he had these two beautiful young women standing next to him, and he was already playing the part of the rock star. and I walked up to Zach and I said, "Hey, Zach, I'm with the record label. We just put your song on sale in 243 countries." And he looked at me and goes, "That's cool. You sticking around to see the show?" And he was like that. He was such a cool kid. But what was amazing about Zach is it was awesome through that process, even though it was very difficult and hard because we all knew that we were going to lose Zach.
And he died at the age of 18?
He died at the age of 18.
Yep.
And we saw Zach blossom into this rock star. He knew the platform that he had.
And the impact that he was having and what he was going to do in a very short amount of time. And only Zach internally knows, what that was like. But he went out like a comet, man. It was beautiful.
I can remember where they came out because there was so much publicity over the whole thing.
Yeah.
And it was a very heart-moving story.
Yeah.
Heart-moving song, obviously. I mean, if you sit and really listen to the music, and unless you've dealt with a situation like that, you don't really get the whole thing. And unfortunately, we've had cancer in our family and stuff.
Sure.
But you've got to really feel. I mean, if you can't feel, something's wrong with you.
Yeah. Absolutely. You have to have empathy and compassion for other people. And, I always try to see the good in everyone, but and I don't mean to sound negative, there are truly damaged people out there in the world that just don't feel.
Well, and he was so positive right up to the end, too.
He was. And he loved everybody. He had such compassion for everyone that he met, and he wanted everyone to do well. And the number one reason that Zach, really did what he did is because he did not want other kids to go through what he went through, and he wanted to find a cure for cancer. One of the beautiful things that's happened with the story is last summer the University of Minnesota released a report that with money that their research teams were funded by the Zach Sobiech Osteosarcoma Fund, they were able to reverse engineer the osteosarcoma gene. And they actually identified the proteins that get altered that cause the osteosarcoma, and now they can target those proteins with actual antibiotic treatments rather than having to use radiation for it. It was one of the first major cancer breakthroughs for pediatric cancer that happened in 25 years, and Zach made that possible.
That's amazing.
That is. I mean, and when you talk about cancer, remember back in the 50s and 60s when it was the C word, right? I mean, cancer is a very predominant thing in our society now. And to find cures for or remedies for it is huge. But to have a kid like that went through it, kind of set a stage that makes some things happen, that's even bigger.
It was huge. It was a miracle, man. It was like, I don't want to get all spiritual and religious on everybody here, but I got to tell you, working with him, I really, truly saw that maybe, just maybe, there's something out there at work bigger than all of us. And it was amazing.
He funneled so much life into such a short amount of time.
He did.
Aside from the record and the music and all of that went on with cancer research and funding it, it appears to me he profoundly changed your life.
Zach and I really had the rare privilege of changing each other's life. I was able to help him, and a lot of people too. There were a lot of great people on our team, but really, in terms of getting the music out there and putting it on sale and making sure that we have a continued legacy, Zach and I changed each other's lives. He got to be a rock star, and I got to be validated in some ways that music could change the world.
And the whole reason you started this thing.
The whole reason I started this thing.
I'm sure it had many points of validation along the way.
Yeah.
But this one,
this
was climbing Mount Everest.
This was the pinnacle. This was the pinnacle.
I mean, you're changing lives. You're making an impact. You're making a difference. I mean, that's huge.
Yeah.
And I think that's really huge. And when BT told me about this today, and I was looking at it, I said, this is the type of stuff that makes you go, why am I doing what I'm doing sometimes? You know what I mean?
I say that every day. It's not all glamorous.
It's kind of like, I told my kids years ago, I said, do something you want to do and live around it. And you went from something that was lucrative to doing what you really wanted to do.
Yeah.
Instead.
Yeah.
So instead of starting right out the bat, and you're probably much happier for it because you're making a big impact.
You know, everything comes with its stress. I mean, every day I still have similar stresses. And, you know, when you're in the nonprofit world, you're 100% reliant on the benevolence of the public. So there's a lot of fundraising that goes on. There's a lot of things that you have to do to make it all happen. You know, there's a lot of stress that goes with it, too, just like a corporate job. But the beautiful thing is that I walked away, and the universe is still taking care of me. I'm still okay. That $175,000 a year did not make the person.
You didn't fall off the edge of the earth, whatever.
No, I'm still here.
I was saying the other day, I said, you know, the money doesn't make the man, the watch doesn't make the man,
No.
the suit doesn't make the man. The man and their character makes themselves, and obviously you're a perfect example of it.
Well, thank you. That's very nice of you. Thank you.
And now Huntington's disease. I mean,
Yes.
that's the next sort of target with this project, the new one called Gazing with Tranquility,
Yeah.
a tribute to Donovan. This is the 20th record that you guys
Yeah.
have come out with. I mean, that alone in 8.5 years, 20 records you've put out.
Yeah.
So as a label, that speaks a lot. It speaks volumes. And you've got just a who's who of great Twin Cities artists, great national artists
Yeah.
on this, all covering the music of Donovan Leitch.
Yes, yes,
Great
yes, yes.
English artist Donovan.
Donovan.
I mean, he's the best. You talked to him, 3 weeks ago?
Yeah, I got this call at 3:30 in the morning, and it woke me up, and I look at my phone, I'm like, who is calling me from Europe? And I answer.
Does your phone ring with hurdy-gurdy, gurdy-gurdy, hurdy-gurdy?
It probably should, yes.
He's going to change that when he goes home
Yeah,
now.
that's a good idea, actually,
Just mad
ringtone.
about
Saffron.
Hey, it's Donovan. Hey, how you
Yeah,
doing, Don?
yeah. Atlantis.
Yeah.
All hail Atlantis. But Don called me, and I answered the phone, and I'm like, hello, and I get this nice voice on the other end of the phone, and it's Donovan Leitch, and he's so happy and excited and appreciative, and you know, in my best Scottish accent, he said, so what's the release date again? What's the release date again? I said, we're coming out October 16th. October 16th, and I said, yeah, we got pre-sale going, you know, digitally on iTunes, August 4th. He said, yeah, man, that pre-sale is very important. You know, I'm in Spain right now. I'm in Spain, and my internet's spotty. Can you resend me a link for the record so I can download
the record,
so I can listen to the record? And you probably need some choice words for me to help you promote this record, don't you, man? I said, yeah. And Donovan was one of my childhood heroes. He was one when I was in my 20s. I spent this period, you know, just being this bohemian, living in this ragtag apartment over on Selby Dale before that whole area became gentrified. And I had these Donovan-like clothing and shirts, and I would emulate his attire.
You have to describe what that
You know,
looks like to me.
You know, I had like these big white poet shirts that were almost Morrison-esque.
With the big blousey.
Yes, the big
You
blouse.
had
Right.
the fluffy
Yes,
shirts.
and I had the peacock feathers, and you know,
You
the
were a
long.
dandy.
Yes, I was a dandy, and this very Baptiste kind of bohemian look. Before that was all very cool in Minneapolis. I don't even know if it ever was cool, but you know, and I would walk around to the coffee shops, and I would read Le Mort d'Arthur, and I would play acoustic guitar, and I would learn all these Donovan songs, you know, and I'd be like, how high the dove flies, oh, ours lay, you know. And I did all this to try to get girls, you know.
That's what I was going to say. I said, now the women are just going to sit there going, oh.
Sometimes it works. Sometimes it's like, you're a weirdo, you know. I listen to Nirvana, you know.
I tried it last week, and I was a weirdo, so.
But how cool that he embraced it like that he
did.
said, you know, not only can you use the songs,
Yes.
but knowing what Rock the Cause is all about and what
Yeah.
the issue of Huntington's disease
Yeah.
and trying to find research money to make that better for
Yeah.
people. And I'm sure that did he know about the Zach story then? Or
You know,
or you told him
we
certainly, and
were
then-
perfect strangers. I worked with Donovan's team and also Cara Wright Fowley at Peer Music to clear the publishing. Interestingly enough, Cara Wright Fowley is the widow of the great Kim Fowley, who managed the Runaways and wrote a ton of songs for Kiss.
Right.
Just a cool guy. And so with Cara Wright at Peer Music and Harry Fox Agency at New York, and Donovan and his handler, Angelique, who's also been lovely to work with, we were able to put the whole thing together and make it work. And there were obviously some songs that had a lot of sentimental value to Don that he did not want us to touch. But what was really cool is once we went down that path with him, the number of artists that were out there that were just like, oh my God, can we do this song?
Now, when you did this, you've got to get his okay kind of to do it, too, don't you?
Yeah, you do. You know, under U.S. copyright law, you can cover anyone's song. period. But the minute you're going to distribute it physically or digitally, then you got to pay what we call a mechanical rate. And the mechanical rate is usually about 9.1 cents per track. So if you print up 1,000 CDs and you've got 100, you got 10 songs on there, you're probably talking about 90 cents per CD that you got to pay to the publisher. But we were able to work with Harry Fox Agency and Peer Music to get all that taken care of, and they were actually very generous and granted us a reduced charitable mechanical rate.
Yeah, nice.
Which gives you an opportunity to give more back to the charities.
Absolutely,
That's
does.
the whole idea.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You've got the Flaming Lips doing Atlantis.
Yeah.
You got Wayne Coyne and the Lips
I love
doing
Wayne
Atlantis.
Coyne.
Jillian Ray's doing Super Lungs, My Supergirl. Brett Denon's doing Donovan's Colors. Joey Verscazzi, local guy here, Minneapolis-based artist, great singer-songwriter, heartfelt guy doing Mellow Yellow.
He does an amazing job with Mellow Yellow.
Let's do a quick listen here. We'll do about a minute or so as the wonderful Lissy
she's
does a
beautiful.
cover of Happiness Runs from the record Gazing with Tranquility, a tribute to Donovan from iRockTheCause.org. What a song. Lissy performing Happiness Runs, originally on the Donovan record, Barabagical.
Yes, Barabagical.
And Apollo Cobra covers that title song on this Donovan tribute record, too. So all sorts of good stuff, man. That's cool. Lissy's another great soul.
She's an amazing human being, and she is so gracious and so wonderful to work with. And I met her a few weeks ago, and she was sound checking at the Varsity, and she just came out, walked around the Varsity barefoot with her little Daisy Dukes on and her wife beater and her hair tied up, and then she goes on stage, and she had 700 people sold out, just eating out of the palm of her hand, just her and an acoustic guitar.
Yeah.
Just phenomenal, you know?
She captivates an audience like few artists I have ever had the company to see. Yeah,
yes,
she really
just
is amazing.
A generous spirit.
Go to the website irockthecause.org.
Yes.
Learn more information about Rock the Cause. And again, give us the time frame right now, available digitally.
You can pre-order right now on iTunes, and if you order on iTunes right now, you get Lissy's Happiness Runs, which you just heard. And then the full album will be available worldwide October 16th in all digital formats, vinyl and compact disc.
Vinyl.
He's a man after my own heart.
We're going to go vinyl with this one.
Oh, very good. Gazing with Tranquility, a tribute to Donovan. And,
you know what vinyl is, Chris?
I was wondering if there was 8 tracks available for BT.
Hey, I have some 8 tracks at home.
They're making a comeback.
I know Chris Pennington's a cassette fan. I know this about him.
I am.
He digs the cassettes.
Do you have Jimmy Buffett cassettes?
I do have a Jimmy Buffett cassette.
Do you play them on my boat?
I don't know if it's on there.
No, there's a joke. I'm a Jimmy Buffett nut, and I have a boat, and all it's allowed to be played on the boat is Jimmy Buffett cassettes.
That's all.
That's why we were going.
Do that.
No other reason for anything.
That speaks volumes about you.
It speaks a few things.
By the way, I'm glad we played that entire Lissy song.
Yes, thank you.
Because we were going to do a minute or so, and once it started spinning, we just had to go with it. Well, that and the fact that Tom got up from the table and said, "Where's he going?" Where did
I had
Tom
to cash
go?
in my pull tabs.
He was inspired. He was gazing with tranquility.
He was gazing
out into the parking
upon
lot.
Atlantis.
I'm just amazed how many people are here, man.
It's good showing for the Mortgages and BS show. At
BS and
Ansaris.
Mortgages. I'm sorry.
Yeah, indeed.
It looks like there's a lot of people
Lounge.
upside down that need some information.
Hey, let's throw some props out to those guys by throwing the address out there, too, when we'll come and visit them just off Interstate 35E off Cliff Road.
Yep.
On Ron Cliff Court. If you get off on 35E, you head west, and then you take a left
Take a left, and you're there.
And the thing and the deal, and then you're 1960 Ron Cliff Court.
Right.
That's where we're at.
It's an old Baker Square location, so a lot of the people know where this is that live south of the river.
Yeah,
obviously.
that are down
and
this
they
part
did
of
a
the world.
phenomenal job. I mean, with the remodel here when
Yeah.
they did it, and like I said, I mean, I've known the family for a long time. The food here is phenomenal.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't go wrong when you come here for the food. The food is phenomenal. The servers are great. The bartenders are great. The cooks are great. I mean, I obviously I'm a little biased because I know so many of these guys.
Sure.
But
Nothing wrong with that.
it is a good place to come. I mean, it really is. I enjoy it myself. It's a good family place.
Out of curiosity, what's the hotel next door?
There's a Holiday Inn, I think, here.
Is
by
it a
us.
Holiday Inn?
There's 2 different ones, actually. There's one across here. There's a Holiday Inn Express, and there's one other one. I can't remember what it is.
Well, you're already getting a little, I don't know if I can drive home. This podcast hasn't been that much of a drinky fest.
Or
I
you
just
go,
need to find a place to sleep. No, I heard rumor that Aerosmith once came here after a hotel stay.
Well,
I've
I was
heard
just
that
wondering
too.
which hotel was Aerosmith crashing at.
Well, I mean, I've heard this a lot. Ramsey has told me, I mean, Ramsey's one of the brothers. They have different bands when they come into town. They stay here. And the bands will actually come in here and hang out and party and stuff and break into song. I'm like going,
Wow.
yeah, sure. That's the night I'm in bed at 9 o'clock. Oh, well. But
You know,
they've had quite a few bands wander in here.
And that's
Wow.
not too surprising because a lot of times road managers will book their band specifically sort of off the beaten
Yeah.
path, not at a ritzy downtown thing. They just want to give them more of an edge of privacy by just finding a decent hotel
Just
in a
clear 'em
suburban
out of the fray.
location, you know, where there's some fun to be had around that. they
and
do
this
their
is the
homework.
hot spot. This
And
is like the
hot
secret
spot
place
of
where they
Egan.
all land. At
It's
Holiday Inn
Ansaris.
Express.
Well, it's either that or you go to Dairy Queen or Burger King.
They're both tasty, and they're known nationally.
But they're not open till 2.
There you go. So it's Ansaris right here.
Yeah.
Hey, we're going to dig more into Chris Pennington's Can Wonderland coming up here after we hear another quick message about the great programming, podcast-wise, that you hear on the Alive and Social Network. It's the Mortgages and BS show with Tom and BT. We're live at Ansaris Mediterranean Grill and Lounge in Egan.
You know, I really have to talk like a radio guy sometime, like BT, very calm and clear and deep and seductive.
Seductive.
I
You know
love
what?
the airwaves.
So we were joking with Scott about his phone ringing a while ago, and it's Donovan. and the ringtone is or Mellow Yellow. You know what my wife's ringtone is when I call?
Crazy Bitch by Buck Cherry.
Smooth operator, smooth operator, and then invariably, I kid you not, 9 times out of 10, she'll pick up the phone and I'm calling her. She'll go, "Hey, smooth operator." So I kind of like that.
Yeah, but
it works for me.
He put it on there for her though.
No,
so,
I did not. Although you could ding me there, I think that would be something I would do. But no, she put it on there, baby. She put it on there. I love the fact that the show is Mortgages and BS. We start out with a lot of BS, and we're going to continue with a lot of BS. We generally get to the mortgage part of the show where we're talking about some interest rates and the FOMC meetings, but we're well into the show and we haven't gotten to any of that yet, and I'm okay with that. You okay with that, mortgage expert Tom Smith? I mean, we got to get to something, I know, but why don't you give us a taste right now?
I just kind of follow your lead. I told you, the two things I want to talk about this week was the FOMC met again, and September was the month they were supposed to do this interest rate hike, going from 0 to a half, real big deal, right? And I've been saying they're not going to do it, and of course they didn't.
They didn't again.
The prognosticator of the mortgage I should be on Wall Street making billions of dollars, what I should be, but I'm not. But they came back. They said the same thing. The economy's trying to grow, but it's not going anywhere. I mean, it's not moving. It's not rocking and rolling like they want it to. Inflation's low. Earnings are still down. Unemployment's still not rocking the charts, and that's still because housing's not rocking like it should be because it affects everything else.
Yep.
Although interest rates are cheap and home prices are awesome, you got to be buying a house, and eventually rates will go up. As I said, second quarter next year we'll probably be looking at 5% again. But even at 5%, us old guys know 5% is cheap.
Right, that ain't bad.
And when you're out there, renting's more expensive than owning. Millennials need to go out there and buy. It's a lot easier to do that. But we're in a great market right now. It's a seller's market and it's a buyer's market, really, to me.
Sometimes you let go of your house for whatever reason. I'm not going to ask Scott the reason why, but you're not a homeowner any longer, right?
I transitioned out.
Yeah. Does that feel good for you?
You know what? I loved my house, but I also looked at it, and it was one of those deals where I'm like, I could throw another $50,000 back into this place.
This thing?
Yeah, but would I get my money back out of it?
Sure.
And I said, you know what? I'm not going to get my money back out of it. However, the bright end of it is, I sold that house and I flipped it and I made $30,000 on it.
So there you go.
That's
you
not
didn't
bad.
put the 50 in. You sold it and made 50.
I sold it and made 30. And
Are you happy to be a renter now too? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, man. I'm renting and I live over by Lake Calhoun and it's fun. It's a great location. I will go buy me a big old house again one day in the future. But hey, I had a chance to get out, make $30,000, and now somebody else is.
Yeah, good on you.
Yeah, somebody else got.
Like we say, there's pros and cons of renting and owning.
Yeah.
There definitely are. Downsizing in a home, all that kind of stuff. There's pros and cons to all of it. And sometimes it's just an individual preference.
Yeah.
Where do you like? I would rent down by Lake Calhoun before I'd buy.
Yeah.
Because I know what it costs to live down by Lake
absolutely,
Calhoun.
yeah.
And so if you could rent down there, that's a good deal. But when they look at the average stuff out there now in regards to rents and stuff like that, it is much cheaper to own a home. And
it is.
We're seeing people buying homes now, doing the old thing with the mother-in-law apartments. You had the little thing downstairs, so mom or whoever could live down there, or the kids come home, they stay down there, that kind of thing. So you're seeing a lot of that coming back. And obviously I'm biased because I'm in the business, but it is a great time to buy. And realtors are dying to help you out. Mortgage bankers are dying to help you out. And if somebody doesn't know what they can do or what they should be doing, all they got to do is talk to somebody.
Absolutely. I agree with you. Millennials should be buying houses because a millennial buys a house and they get a good rate on it. And let's say they put the next 20, 30 years of their life into that house. They're going to make some money. I'm 45 years old. I wanted to get out. It's like, I looked at this thing, I'm going to stay another 20 years. I don't think I'm going to do that.
You're not going to.
No, I'm going to get out and make my money. But somebody's 24, 25 years old, looking to marry, get kids, whatever, fix a place up, buy because they'll make money.
Chris Pennington, you were, as we've already clearly made known on the show, creative hack, impresario, dilettante, but let's add a few to the business card. Debutante, yes. We'll take it. Debutante. Husband.
Yes.
Dad of 2.
Yes.
Homeowner.
Yes.
Where you at?
5 years in.
And where do you
Just
live?
crossed 5 years. I'm over in the West 7th neighborhood of St. Paul.
Oh, that's a nice
right
area.
by the Schmidt Brewery.
Oh, that's a great area to be in.
I freaking love it.
Yeah.
Glockenspiel.
That is a nice area.
I know about the Glock.
There's
Locked
actually
and loaded
Mancini's
with the
down
Glock.
as you head toward downtown.
I was doing the
Yep.
pedal. I was doing the
area.
pedal pub out by Mancini's last night.
We are a pedal
So
pub
was
haven.
Diana over here. She was doing it too.
Diana's in the
I
crowd. She
thought
was
she
pedal
looked
pubbing.
familiar. Yeah, we have pedal pubs rolling through.
You know what's
my
weird about
neighborhood.
your pocket, where you're at, that pocket area is, there are actually things set up there that they actually have to get financing through the Community Development Association. They can't go to mortgage companies. They have to go through the CDA on some stuff because they've set areas and pockets down there.
And $10 says that's Fort Road Federation.
Probably is, yeah.
I bet it is. I know those guys. They're good people.
But that's a nice, that area's been up and coming again, too, because I remember when I lived in West St. Paul, that area West 7th was a little
oh man,
spooky.
It's notoriously sketchy back in the day. Like we had the brewery, after it shuttered, turned into an ethanol plant. So how about that for the neighborhood? So you have this like German immigrant neighborhood full of like German beer lovers, and then it turns into like this burnt corn smelling factory
all the time.
Yeah, it's like it was known for that, for ethanol production and halfway houses.
And the fact that you could fill your jugs of water there.
And as Diana reminded us last night for Casey's, but that's another story.
Yes.
That's amazing that you know about that.
Yeah.
But now there's a renaissance in that whole superstructure.
Oh,
of
if you
the
guys
brewery.
haven't been to that brewery,
it's
it
amazing.
is gorgeous.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Truly gorgeous.
And artist lofts going in there and all sorts of stuff and other businesses.
They're
really,
doing
it's
a big
multi-purpose
remodel
thing.
down there.
Oh yeah, they fixed the Schmidt sign. I don't know if you guys remember. The people in the West South remember. There's this Schmidt huge red neon,
Absolutely.
like 12-foot letters.
Beautiful.
SCHMI, and it like lights up across the neighborhood. And that thing was broken and dead for a decade plus.
So the developer came in and fixed it up.
The developer came in and they found the guys that made the sign originally back in the 30s.
Wow.
And they were still in business.
Wow.
And
They're old.
they made it again for them.
Wow.
Except it wasn't
Amazing
neon. Now
story.
it was LEDs, but it's the exact same company,
Wow.
exact same sign. And so now I sit in my front yard at night. I can watch the Schmidt sign
And you
pop
can see it
again.
from your yard.
Yeah, it's up. It's been up for like a
amazing.
year and a half, and it's a beautiful, wonderful crowning gem for the neighborhood who's been waiting a long time to come back. And that was like kind of like, hey, we're back.
Yeah.
Well, it's
Yeah.
history. It's
says a
history.
lot.
It
It's
is.
part of it's tradition, history, whatever word you want to use. It's part of the culture of that area.
It is, and it's a very proud neighborhood. Many intergenerational homes there. The parents built the house, the grandparents built the house, sold it to the parents, and have sold it to the kids. Like in terms of like 40% of the neighborhood is like these deep intergenerationally owned homes.
Well, and to quote somebody in your neighborhood, ich bin Deutsch. I am of German heritage. So I get the Germans are very strong in their culture, their beliefs, their values, their history.
And they build a good home stock.
And they're stubborn.
And they are stubborn.
They're stubborn and
And
they're
so
accurate.
this is something that was kind of theirs.
Yep.
And a lot of those people worked there at one point in time. So when it goes away, it's like, we hate you guys. You know? It's kind of like when the Ford plant went away. I wanted to say something else, but I can't.
It's totally right.
Chris, how old are your kids now?
I have a 5-year-old and like a 7-month-old.
So you were moving into the house when the 5-year-old was there yet?
It was
or
that
just a baby?
nesting thing. That nesting
Yeah.
thing that is real.
And was that what drove you and your wife to find a house after renting? And we're going to have
We've
our
been
first
renting
kid.
for my whole life.
We really need to settle down, but for the sake of the kid too, right? Yeah.
It's seriously a biological imperative. Like you get when the kid starts rolling in, and you're like at month 9. Like you're just like, where's the frickin' house? I need to rip out the bathroom. I'm gonna rip out the bathroom of the house. That's exactly what I did. I bought a house and ripped out the bathroom.
And your wife is going, get this thing out of me now.
She's huge, and she's like, why did you rip out the only shower we have? I'm like, sweetheart's gonna be great. I was having to take horse baths.
I get what you're talking about. We owned our first house before we had a kid, right? We had our second. We were going to have our second kid. We decided to move. We moved in the summer, right? And we're having like some remodeling going on in the house. It was like an alien coming out, right? She was possessed. I want that fixed. I need air conditioning. Think about it. They're going through a thing. You're just like, where's my man cave?
Right. You just get on this like I'm providing for you now.
Yeah. We have a house.
I bet you got that air conditioning in.
Oh yeah, we lived in a house.
there's AC now.
Our first,
Oh, you're damn right there's AC
our
now.
first house had no AC, and I can remember when she was pregnant with our first son, she would actually lay in a kiddie pool in the backyard.
Sure, just to cool down a little
And
bit.
our neighbors would invite us over. So this one day she goes, "This is getting ridiculous." I came home with a window unit, and I put it by the couch down the main unit. I couldn't get her away from that thing for 3 months. I think she slept by it.
Yeah.
Like, dead serious.
Doesn't surprise me.
We don't realize it because we're guys. We're sweating our pigs. We're sweating like pigs. We don't really care. But she's got that extra weight. She's got that extra kid in there.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Chris, have you made your living as an artist this whole time?
No one makes their living as an artist, BT.
Just wondering, how did the 1099s look 5 years ago? When you got into the house. I mean, did you have a regular gig and then do other art on the side and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah. My parents forbade me to become an artist. I tried. I'm like, Mom, Dad,
you're still going at it.
I'm going to become an artist, and they're like, No, you're not. You're going to go to college. You're going to get a job. And I was like, and so I couldn't even take art classes in college.
Wow.
I took one. I goosed it in there.
They put the hammer down.
I know. They were really bitter about being an artist. It's a hobby. It's a hobby, son.
Son, you need something to fall back on.
Yeah, right. Okay, so fine.
Animal husbandry, son.
I'm going to have fun with this one in a minute. You know that, right?
I said, okay, well, maybe if I become a teacher, I can teach for 9 months and then do crazy art for 3 months. That was the concept. And so I became a teacher. I went to school, I became a teacher, and I taught for 15 years. Actually, this is weird. This is the first week I have not taught in 15 years.
This week?
This week. I was supposed to return back to work on Monday for my normal, orientation, everything and all the rest, and I'm not there because now I am full-time mini golf entrepreneur.
So you have made, now you've really, his head is in a flourishing motion upward towards the ceiling at Ansaris.
Is that better than being a debutante?
It's a coin flip.
You don't get to wear the same gowns. That's the only thing.
That's the truth.
Well, what's weird is like we're talking
gowns.
about the art thing, and we talked before the show. We're talking about my two older kids. They're arts. They're artists.
They're artists. Yeah.
And I said to them early on as I was watching, I said, do what you want to do with life and figure out how to live.
Yeah.
In other words, don't go for the job with money and hate your job. Have the job you like and whatever you get. Van bound by the river, the whole thing. And so my oldest has switched majors 7 times. He really should be a cartoonist, animator, things like that. He went to school. He hated the fact that everything's computerized now. He really wants to do it all by hand. So he's going to be an English major, which is still in the arts, and his goal is to write books and illustrate them himself.
Totally cool.
My oldest daughter can do just about anything when it comes to art, and she actually wanted to be an art teacher for special ed, but they've gotten so weird about it that she didn't like it, and so she said, I want to do more of this. So she's a graphic design major at Art Institute, and she loves photography, and this girl's got some talent. Both my kids actually have a lot of art talent, except for, 2 of my 3 kids have art talent. So, I said to them, do it. Your parents said, don't do it. It's a hobby, but they're kind of right. You need something to fall back on to pay the bills and do the art on the side, right?
Yeah.
But
unless you're willing to live on a cot and eat ramen noodles a lot.
Super punk rock style.
My son will probably be in my basement for the next 10 years, but,
That's the way that'll play out.
But that's because you're a good supportive dad. And you're like, sleep on my couch.
No, I do. And I support the fact that it's something that they have passion for. And I'm not knocking your parents, obviously. I mean, your parents were being practical. They were being practical. And I just decided, I'd watch my kids. I mean, my son, when he was 4 years old, would draw a Mickey Mouse, and if he didn't like the way it was drawn, would rip it up and throw it away until he got it right. This is how much my kids were into art.
Wow.
And my wife's quite artistic. My mom and dad were artistic. Her dad's artistic. I mean, the artistic, we did. Oscar Mayer mobile. I mean, the one that goes in our family. So I really encourage it. But you know what? You're encouraging people to do what they want to do now with what you do.
It takes all kinds, right?
So you've switched it off now. You're encouraging people to come do art with you guys.
Indeed.
So now Can Wonderland is an educational experience of a different sort. By the way, let me ask you real quick.
I'm worried about the whole thing.
What were you teaching before? Were you doing elementary school? Were you teaching junior high? What was your teaching?
Middle school, high school, special ed, learning disabilities.
Yeah, very cool.
Yep.
Kids at that very formative, time.
Right. They're not the traditional learners. If they go straight up the middle and they hit a brick wall, so you got to go around.
Yep.
And that's very much me too.
Now, what did you do? True special ed, or did you just do the guys that were a little rowdy and had a little AD or whatever?
Well, yeah, both.
Yeah.
Well, no, I asked because my wife is a parent in the school district, and she works with autistic, the whole thing. I mean, she's like in the serious stuff. The kids are in wheelchairs, they can't talk, and it's so interesting to see where school has gone with stuff like that versus like when we were kids.
Yep.
We didn't have kids like that in our school, right?
Nope.
No.
And now it's like they're making opportunities, and I think it's just huge.
Yeah, it's a big thing. Special ed in public school is a big thing. There's tons of teachers, and tons of teachers are needed all the time. Great teachers are needed in special ed, and if people want to come into teaching, that's a great place to go because, teachers leave all the time. It's a sad thing. They're challenging students, but there's great gains and great rewards in that field. Like you'll be validated. Like we just talked about that with Scott. So many things that he was working on a job that was making a lot of money, but it wasn't doing anything for his heart, and he had to leave. And like if you look for that validation, teaching is a great place for you to be. So that's my vote for teachers out there.
Well, and teachers deserve the props. I mean, teachers, firefighters, policemen, they should be making the biggest salaries, and then let the corporate
and
CEOs
nurses. Don't forget nurses.
make something else.
They're the unforgotten heroes. I mean, they really are.
Absolutely. Nurses, all of those people that are in the real service of humanity.
Yeah, the on-the-ground service to humanity people.
in the trenches.
Yeah, you have 30 seconds to tell us about Can Wonderland.
Oh, you got a little more than that, but
I want to talk about mortgages.
This is so damn cool. I mean, what you're working on. So you've got this huge art space just off University and Pryor.
Yep.
In St. Paul, right by the big ass Menards there.
Indeed.
Okay, so give us some.
Is it really a big ass Menards?
It's a big ass
Menards.
Oh yeah, it's 2 stories in the whole thing.
It's getting bigger too. They just bought out the guys next to them. They're expanding. So
Tom, as Chris is letting us know, it's a big ass Menards.
Yeah, it's double ass, like can.
Yep,
ass.
Can.
We say ass. Okay.
So what's the space like in your building? What
All right.
you hope to be? We would hope is classified by the Guinness folks as the world's largest indoor mini golf course.
We're doing the it's kind of a secret, but I'll let it out. We're going to make the longest mini golf hole in the world.
Longest mini golf hole.
That will be one of our crowning achievements. We're indoor. We're in this. If you guys have been around that neighborhood, it's the old American Can Factory. It's a shabby-looking thing from outside. It is
It's like hundreds
massive.
of thousands of square feet of space.
450,000 square feet.
Wow.
Imagine tuck pointing that sucker. Right?
Wow.
I mean, it is incredible.
want to.
They're actually reglazing all the windows now, and it's like a year job. It's like this glass company's just they're just living there in cots.
And plus, we're making some good ching on this place.
They are making the place it's just this massive, huge building. It used to be filled with conveyor belts. It used to make all the cans for Spam cans. Like all the Spam cans were made there.
They fabricate the cans
They
there.
make the cans,
Ship
from
them off
sheet
to the
metal,
place, right?
throw them into trains. It's right in this huge train yard. They pack train cars and send them off to the Spam company. So they went out of business, and we found the place. We were actually going to build our mini golf course at the base of the Schmidt Brewery in West 7th. I love my neighborhood. I wanted to have my golf course there.
And it's a short commute.
Yeah, I could drive there with my mini golf cart, right? That's what I wanted. Couldn't make it work with Fort Road Federation, and so we were trying to find a place, and lo and behold, we found the American Can Factory. And the building is gritty, industrial, beautiful, massive, and you'll have to see it. It really is a really unique and beautiful place that's due for a renaissance. And just kind of like St. Paul in general is in this moment of revitalization.
So many pockets.
Oh,
I mean,
So
you
many
mentioned
pockets.
Schmidt Brewery. Of course, Lower Town's been leading the charge. And, with the ballpark there and the Union Depot being redone and the light rail coming
It's
in
just
there. And that used to be not the greatest place to be.
Well, like I
Mears
said,
Park notwithstanding.
Absolutely.
But,
Like I said, I was down there last night for that pedal pub deal. I was amazed. I hadn't been downtown St. Paul for a while. I'm amazed at what's going on down there.
In just 5 years, it's a way different situation, and I think the momentum is increasing. So in 5 years from now, it's going to be even better. And really, everyone's seeing it now. Before it was just optimistic people, but now it's rolling. It's getting bigger. It's wonderful to be a part of it. So, but we're over on the light rail. We're over on the green line, right? So that placeholder got kind of decimated in the last couple of years,
Right.
And so now
the line's done.
The line's done.
Yep.
We're starting the scar tissue's forming, and now we're trying. Now it's starting to get a little bit more alive. And so we're in there, and we're trying to make that happen. We're thrilled about the spot. The spot's wonderful, and so we're growing an 18-hole indoor mini golf course, all arts based. We did a call for artists. We got submissions from all over the country, all over the world. We accepted all the way from Australia, New Zealand, wherever. All these people sending us golf course hole designs for mini golf.
Yeah.
And so we got all these judges together, and we were really serious about it, and we picked out 18 holes, and each one of them is just truly fantastic.
And there'll be art pieces. Each of the holes will be sort of an art
Each hole
piece.
is like a mini golf. To me, it's like a mini golf masterpiece, each one.
Wow. In addition to the golf hole, so there's actual art pieces from that
Amazing.
same artist that are there too?
The art is the hole.
Okay.
Here's
So I can buy hole number 3?
No.
Oh, yeah.
This is how you buy it, though. You buy it by playing it. Right, and this is this is moving off the commodification of art, right? Because a lot of art people go I'm going to make a painting and sell it to a 3M executive for $20,000, and they all wait in line for the 3M executive to buy their painting, and sometimes he never does. Okay, so
That's why they got that man down by the river.
A lot of times,
then you're in the
he
van
never
by the
does.
yeah, a lot of times. But that's like this kind of weird art dream, right? So, okay, why don't we shift off that and say instead of saying one painting for $20,000, how about sell like a $3 experience 10,000 times?
There you go.
Hey,
there you go.
Oh, look, it's popular. You know, you're making art popular, right?
But can you see this becoming a gallery space too, where some pieces will be available for sale and maybe
Absolutely.
sculptures out on the golf course and that sort of
Absolutely.
thing? Because I'm already getting that in my head.
Absolutely.
I'm going crazy.
Well, you know, we have like, what do you call that? The your little bric-a-brac store, treasure
Like
store,
a tchotchke store. Or whatever.
Yeah, you know, it's like art,
souvenir
you know,
shop or
souvenir
whatever.
shop. We got that.
So the artist sent you the stuff. Who actually created it? Did they come and actually create the hole themselves, or how did you guys do that?
Okay, so like, you know, some people are design build when they're
Right.
going to actually fabricate their own thing, and the other guys are just design only. So we paid them just for their idea, and then we have professional fabricators come in and actually build it. Like, for instance, we have this one hole. It's one of my personal favorites. It's called Natural Disaster, and it was made by this 12-year-old kid. And he designed this hole that was just epic. It has like every natural disaster you can think of, including a tornado.
Oh, man.
Right? And he's
wow.
got a tornado. He's got a meteor crater. He's got a volcano. He's got an earthquake. And so he drew this thing. He's like, this is awesome. He like wrote that in his thing.
He wrote, "This is awesome."
Yeah, you have to draw the picture and then you have to like tell us about it. And he's like, there's no way you can tell me this isn't awesome.
And he's 12.
And he's 12. And like,
Got a
he's
little confidence. Maybe I need to get him on my side.
And you know what? It is awesome.
It was awesome, and it was. He just swung for the fences, and you just have to encourage it because like, he went up against big name artists from all over the country. There's some big name artists that applied.
He's 12.
And he was 12, and he got it.
He got it.
Because it was epic.
Yeah.
And so I mean,
he was awesome.
Because he was awesome. He's like, that's the mini golf hole I want to see. And like, you're like, so do we, man. That thing's awesome.
So it's not the clown face with the big hole, the windmill coming through anymore?
Well, that's the problem because, like, you know, like the windmill holes, right? Like they're all dead, and they all fell to the wayside of these like I don't know the mini golf versus putt putt or something like the putt putt style. All those like you really have to know how to putt. It's all about like gradients of greens and like reading a green.
I
and,
just
like,
kind of hit it.
Well, right. Okay, there's some people that take that crap really seriously, but I mean, like, I'm all for just like the big tchotchke stuff that you have to putt through and the big sculptural stuff.
Sure, the clown in the mouth and whatever,
Hey,
or
man,
a
the
tornado or a swirling vortex.
You know, in the 80s, that stuff was
Oh,
huge,
yeah.
and now it's dead. Like 20 years of dead.
Now, what are you doing if somebody comes up with a new idea for you guys, though? I mean, you've got your 18 holes. What if somebody's got an idea and they want to send it to you?
Oh man, they do all the time. Okay, well, one good thing is we do have above our space is a giant flat roof, and so we've already asked the landlord when we're ready.
Can we have an outdoor course?
Can we do the 18 outside on the
Nice.
top, right? And he's
So
like,
then
yes,
you'd have a
you can.
36-hole course.
And really, that's the gold standard of mini golf. You need 36.
36, yeah.
Well, I'm just thinking to myself, I mean, with almost 500,000 square feet, 18 holes, that's a big course.
Right. Well, okay. So our spot, we're nowhere
Am I
close.
bringing my
to 450.
9-iron or what?
You're right. Yeah, it's like a full 18 actual golf course indoor.
It's so large.
Except for the hole,
It's all
it's
putting.
like a mini ball.
It's all putting.
That would be really kind of cool. Can you
would
imagine
be
that?
Minnesota needs it, right? But we're like we're in the basement. We've got about 30,000 square feet. I believe that's what we got. And so we have a couple different sections. We'll be able to have this mini golf course and a boardwalk and a stage. So we're doing live performance every night. That's kind of our. We're really inspired by Coney Island.
Yeah, and an engine for creating art in the Twin Cities.
I've got a question for both of you real fast, though. Because, like I said, you guys are both on the art side. One sentence, what would you say to anybody in the art world as inspiration?
Oh boy.
Make
Wow.
it really good, Scott.
That's pressure is
Hey,
on.
Scott, don't screw this up.
No, pressure's on. I would say anybody that's out there that is in the art world, you know what? Forget about the fact that you're going to make money. All right? If you master something, you get really, really good at something, you can demand a fee for what you do. And do it because you enjoy it, and do it because you love it, and master it. And don't let anybody tell you that it's a hobby, because the harder you work at it, and if you've got talent, and even if you don't, I mean, there's plenty of people out there that don't have talent that have been able to make a living out of art, but you will be able to master something, and once you master something, you can make a living off of it.
Lovely.
You really can.
It's right on. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
You nailed it. And that applies to anything in life. You
I was
know,
gonna
the
say,
job
Sam,
you choose,
anything,
art or
anything,
otherwise. Yeah.
anything.
All right, your turn, Chris.
it was the same deal. Just I'd say try to do a little
No,
every
you
day.
can't just say ditto.
Ditto. That guy rocked. Yeah, this guy was totally right.
That guy's awesome.
Just making time for what you love, right?
Yeah.
You gotta make time for what you love. It doesn't just happen out of nowhere. So it's like you gotta get your butt to the garage and spend half an hour tonight, every night,
And
as
just
much
do it.
as humanly possible. You just gotta eke out the time.
What a pleasure having you guys here.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
I want to
Guys,
talk mortgages.
it's crab special night here. Can you smell the crab?
Yes, you can. It smells delicious.
You know what? Ansaris is awesome.
It smells
Ansaris.
delicious.
We're all huffing Ansaris right now.
Popeyes is freaking good.
Tommy, toss out the names of our friends at Ansaris that we want to throw some props to, because really just a wonderful
Well,
experience being here.
obviously the big guy Pasha,
Yep.
David Ansari, Rami Ansari, Tarek Ansari. I gotta throw in Sammy Ansari.
Sammy's here.
'cause. And of course Johnny, our bartender, he's a great guy. John and Lindsay are normally behind the bar. And it's a family run business, and it's a great place to come. And you know what? It's not a far drive from anybody to get to.
No, not at all. 1960 Ron Cliff Court in Egan. Come visit.
35 E and Cliff. It's easy.
There you go. Just off 35E and Cliff.
Yeah, it's like going to
And,
Wisconsin. You're in and out.
There you go. Nothing to it. Our special thanks to Scott Harold from Rock the Cause. Visit their website, irockthecause.org. Really a pleasure to have you here, Scott.
Thank you. Always great to see you. BT.
Anytime we can do anything to help rock the cause, you're in.
Thanks, man.
Count on it.
We feel
Gazing
the
with
love.
Tranquility, a tribute to Donovan, is the newest and 20th record from Rock the Cause, and all the proceeds will benefit Huntington's disease research and just good things to help folks that are living with Huntington's disease.
Yeah.
And so you're going to keep us posted, Chris Pennington, at cancanwonderland.com on progress on the indoor mini golf, the largest hole in the world, all of that kind of stuff.
You should probably check out our Facebook instead because our website is lacking.
Okay, so well, that's good. I'm glad you brought that up. That's why I'm asking. So on the social media side, Facebook, Can Wonderland.
Yep.
And then, but you'll get it up to speed on the website, and we'll have a little fun there.
Eventually, we're going to get that website tightened up. Yes?
And the human foosball thing, real quick. Ask them about the human foosball.
Oh, yeah. You were talking
man.
about that earlier. Human foosball, what's the deal, man? What are you doing there?
Dude, it's a beautiful thing. It's
It
human
is.
foosball, and there's dude. Seriously though, I don't know. It's human foosball. It's like what you'd think it would be. And these guys up north Minnesota. I mean, I didn't think of it. I didn't invent it. These guys did. They did a great job. It looked so much fun. So we decided we were just going to build one for St. Paul Open Street.
Can you see it on your website or Facebook?
Man, I know you can see it on Facebook.
All right.
And it's
Can you
mobile
rent it?
and it's portable. Yes, you can rent it.
It's
$1,000
vaguely
a pop.
portable. It's vaguely portable. It is rentable.
It's
And
vaguely
you know
portable.
I'm going to be emailing you with a designed hole by one of my kids yet. You know that, right?
I would love
And
to
you have
see
to
it.
put it on.
You've had another hour plus of your life engaged in mortgages and BS on the Alive and Social Network.
Did we talk about mortgages?
Yeah, we did.
Okay,
we
fine.
fit it in. These guys had house narratives. It was all good.
You know what's cool for me?
Why am I talking like
What's cool
this?
for me is when somebody said, let's do this show thing, I said, I want to provide information and education. And it's not always about mortgages. It's about other things that are going on in your community. And, I mean, you guys have two different things going on that a lot of people don't know about, and we're providing them information and education on it. And hopefully at some point in time, that can help you guys out.
Absolutely.
Totally.
Come back and visit us again, all right?
We will.
So much
And-
fun again. You guys are a hoot.
We'll get
And
the
you know
crab.
what?
We'll get the crab next time, though.
Well, you
God.
know what? Here's the deal. We're going to do the crab here, and then we're going to do a remote podcast at Can Wonderland.
Love it.
And we're going to have one of the Rock the Cause artists on the stage that you
Oh,
guys
that'd
have.
be
We're
great.
gonna
Let's
make
do
this-
that.
we're gonna-
We can
this is
make
going to be a
that happen.
synergy thing going
We
on
can make
here.
that happen.
Can I sell
Making
popcorn?
synergy.
Can I sell popcorn?
And Tom's going to sell popcorn.
He's going to have
There
a
you go.
cottage industry in the
Yeah,
hallway.
You've got a whole side thing going
Hey, anybody
on.
want to buy some popcorn? Peanuts? 15 cents? I got it down.
I'm BT.
I'm Tom.
It's Mortgages and BS on the Alive and Social Network. We'll catch you next week.
Have a great week, folks.